We've got plenty more lefties losing at content with my next guest, including some exciting developments for Judge Merchan. You know that guy. He oversaw Trump's sham trial in New York. But let's start with California, where you'd think they'd be focused on approving disaster relief, fixing their hopelessly inept fire response. But no, instead, they've just held a special session to prepare for Donald Trump, and they've approved a $25 million war chest for any potential legal battles with the Trump administration.
Despite several empty seats in the chamber because of the LA wildfires, the Democratic State Assembly gaveled into its special legislative session to prepare for incoming President Donald Trump.
I'd ask that you keep in mind
Governor Newsom called the special session shortly after the election. As fires raged in Southern California, state lawmakers still prioritized their anti-Trump work. They established a committee and set a hearing for the legislation that sets aside $25 million to prepare for legal battles with the incoming administration.
Of course, rainbow flags everywhere. Joining me now is Newsweek Senior Editor-at-Large and Article 3 Project Senior Counsel, Josh Hammer. Josh, what can be done about California? And I do wonder whether this disastrous, inept fire response is going to act as a red pill for the state, for so many who've just voted Democrat without even thinking about it.
Well, Rita, great to be back with you. Happy 2025. You know, look, I would propose a trade to the country of Denmark, to the Kingdom of Denmark here. Why don't we trade you guys California, and in exchange, you give us back Greenland? Seems like a win-win from my perspective there. I mean, Donald Trump seems to really want Greenland. I mean, California has been going down the tubes for decades now, but it is really accelerated under Governor Gavin Newsom's tenure. He's the first governor in the entire history of the state of California. California became a state in the 1850s, and literally from then until the 2020 United States Census, California always gained seats in the representation in the U.S. Congress. This is the first time they lost seats. It happened under Gavin Newsom's tenure there. It's the highest cost of living in the state there. But look, as it pertains to this recent special session, Rita, he's been too busy Trump-proofing the state. He forgot to fire-proof the state. I mean, look at what they've been doing in Sacramento. He forgot to put water in the water hydrants there. But no, in a media interview just a few days ago, now he says, oh, you know what? It's the local person's problem. They're going to figure it out there. It's a problem for the people on the spot. No, sir. You are the governor of the nation's largest state, the most populous state, the state that still has the largest GDP and so forth and so forth there. You are ultimately where the buck stops there. And I don't know what's going to happen to the state of California. I wish I could come on your program, Rita, and say to you that I think California is going to be red-pilled as a result of this. Maybe on the margins, but I would be remiss if I made a confident prediction that that state is going to start voting for Donald Trump and Republicans anytime soon. But even a marginal shift away from just being a totalitarian one-party state, I think would be something quite beneficial.
I think you're right. I think by the time they're going to go back to the polls, this will sadly be forgotten, and so much more. The fact that you've got a exodus of people, California is so blessed. It's just the most beautiful state. You've got the beach, you've got the mountains, you've got everything going for you. And yet you've got people leaving in record numbers, going to states like Texas and Florida and Tennessee, Republican states, because it is so difficult to live there unless you're uber wealthy. Now, this is an important development. Incoming FBI Director Kash Patel has promised to investigate a progressive political consulting firm owned by Lauren Merchant, the daughter of Juan Merchant, the judge in Trump's hush money case. Here is Kash Patel on Fox News earlier.
I'm calling for the subpoenas to be issued to Judge Merchant's daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records, because money doesn't lie. Yep. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with, because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there, and the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning.
Josh, what do we know about the money she was able to raise? Is it true she used the case her father was overseeing in emails soliciting donations?
So first of all, this is exactly why Kash Patel is a perfect pick to lead the nation's FBI and to try to bring the FBI back to a modicum of respectability, because he cares about getting to the bottom of blatantly corrupt scandals, which the FBI has been ground zero of for the past 7, 8, 9 years, going back all the way to the first Trump campaign in 2016. To your question, though, yes, 1,000 times yes. Lauren Mershon is her name. She works for a company called Authentic Campaigns. It is a Democratic Party aligned progressive fundraising vehicle. They distribute money to Democratic officials and left-wing causes there. She was absolutely fundraising on her day job based on the fact that her daddy was to become the first judge to sentence a former and now soon to be president of the United States. Juan Mershon himself, by the way, let's not let him off the hook easily. It's not just his daughter. Juan Mershon himself donated $20 to the Biden-Harris campaign in 2020. Seems like a small sum, but the fact is he donated in the first place. He specifically earmarked that donation, incidentally, to the cause Get Trump. This guy never in a million years should have been on this case in the first case there. He had a million opportunities to recuse himself. He rejected it over and over and over again. He should have declared a mistrial after the Trump versus United States case at the United States Supreme Court in light of the presidential immunity decision there. He's done everything wrong since day one there, but ultimately he's an egomaniac. That's why he put in audio recording on sentencing day on Friday, because he wanted the history books, Rita, to remember that he was the first guy who sentenced a former president of the United States. Unfortunate for Juan Mershon, this thing is going to get tossed on appeal ASAP. So this whole stupid convicted felon thing, unconditional discharge, let them get their day in the sun. It's going to last a matter of weeks, maybe even shorter than that.
I remember speaking to legal experts who observed some of this case, and they said it was an absolute sham. It was a travesty that this was happening in a first world nation, a sort of thing you'd expect to see in some sort of banana republic. Now, we've seen Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, do away with the leftist activists masquerading as fact checkers on sites like Facebook and Instagram. Zuckerberg is now pretending to be some sort of defender of free speech. Well, he is now that Americans have re-elected Donald Trump, but should we trust him, Josh? Because when it mattered, he was complicit in censoring and suppressing free speech. He donated hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money, I'd argue, to fortify the 2020 election. I don't trust this guy as far as I can throw him, but I'm seeing a lot of people be receptive to this backflip of his. What are your feelings about Meta and Zuckerberg in particular? Because I'm just feel like he just goes with whoever's holding power. If Kamala Harris had won, none of this would be happening.
Yeah, I mean, let's not forget Mark Zuckerberg, to your point about using this kind of tongue-in-cheek euphemism about fortifying the 2020 election. He spent $400 million in so-called Zuckerbucks. He did probably more than any individual in the world, other than possibly George Soros himself, to tip that election to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So a little bit of a Johnny-come-lately thing here, I think, to put it mildly. Nonetheless, he is on this grand, elaborate mea culpa tour. It started this past August. He wrote this letter to Jim Jordan on House Judiciary Committee, finally fessing up for the first time to the fact that they censored COVID-19 information, censored the Hunter Biden laptop. Now he's doing Joe Rogan's podcast. He's flying to Mar-a-Lago. I'm not buying it. I'm with you. I don't think this guy is sincere whatsoever. I guess the only additional point I would make is, if he's actually making concrete changes, and he just made this guy Joel Kaplan, a former George W. Bush White House attorney, a longtime D.C. Republican. He is now the head of global affairs of Meta, if I have his title right there. So he's trying to position his company well for the second Donald Trump term. He's basically just trying to make sure that Donald Trump's antitrust cops don't start busting on Meta, forcing them to divest Instagram, WhatsApp, or the various other assets there. That's what's actually going on here. But as long as he's actually doing real steps to get free speech back on Facebook and Instagram, and to be clear, I have a distrust but still verify approach to this. I don't trust him for a second, but nonetheless, I guess let's take the progress.
Absolutely. It's a positive move. And you look at the numbers of people who use Facebook every day, who use Instagram. If these changes are going to be implemented properly, then it is going to make a huge difference. But yeah, I do not trust Mark Zuckerberg, not yet. Now, the musical lineup for Donald Trump's inauguration has been revealed. We've got country music superstar Carrie Underwood taking part. The Village People, we know he loves the Village People, as well as a couple of Trump's favourites, country singer Lee Greenwood, opera singer Christopher Marchio. They're all going to be performing. Particularly excited, Josh, about Carrie Underwood, and it's pretty brave of her to do this. She is a mainstream star. She's a superstar, and we know how intolerant and far left the entertainment industry has become. So is she going to get some blowback over this?
Well, Rita, I'm actually a country music mega fan. That's basically all I listen to. So let me just real quick say that Toby Keith should have been here performing for Donald Trump on his second inauguration. He performed back in 2016, but unfortunately, Toby Keith sadly passed away, succumbed to stomach cancer, far too young, back in September 2023, so may his memory be a blessing. I am very happy that Carrie Underwood is performing here. I mean, she is an absolute megastar. I'll be honest with you, I had no idea that she was right-leaning. I had no idea what her politics were. She hasn't really previously revealed them at all here. You know, country music as an institution based in Nashville, Tennessee, it's still based in the South. Their fan base is still, by and large, right of center, the kind of people that are salt of the earth, go to church on Sundays. But you've had a lot of woke stuff still emerging from the country music industry. So between Carrie Underwood here, Jason Aldean, his hit "Try That in a Small Town," his wife going on Tucker Carlson's old show on Fox News, you're starting to see some of the megastars kind of come home to their own fan base there. And again, as a longtime country music diehard fan, I'm loving it.